Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Generational Turnaround Podcast, where we seek the truth and then we bring you the proof. And I got a confession to make, y'all. I overslept and I really hate to admit that, but I did. But that's not to worry, not to worry, not to worry. We are here. We are here now. And my beautiful guests are here. We have Robin and Mark Young. And I'm going to bring them up, okay? So y'all hold on. Wait a minute. Let me get everything. All right. All right. Hello. Look at that handsome face and that beautiful face out there. And never fail. When I get ready trying to get on with my amazing guest, well, you know who tries to take over, but he never succeeds. Hello,
Good.
Robin
Oh, no.
and Mark. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
All right. I'm using a circular light and I'm ducking.
How to do that?
You can't hear me?
No, we're trying to get situated where we can.
Oh, okay. You're better. You're better. Oh yeah.
Be in the video.
Listen, let me tell you, everyone, these are my children, but before another mother had them, I didn't have to go through none of that. But I love them dearly. Hello, hello.
Hey.
Come on, my darling. Tell us, everybody, who you are. Because let me tell you, we're going to do it differently. I'm going to give you a little bit of information, but I want you to tell them who you are, Miss Robin, and let me pull up the other information.
Okay. Hi. Hi, I'm Robin Young, transformational motivational speaker and coach and prophetess. And I run a business called Participate with Your Purpose Enterprise. And I also do the Divine Purpose Circle. I am a speaker for churches and corporate events. And I also assist my husband in his career as a coach as well. I'm a wife, a mother, entrepreneur, and that's about it.
Well, I just, I had Prophetess Robin Young as a true trailblazer.
Oh, you did?
Enlisted in the U.S. Navy at just 18 and becoming one of the first 500 women to serve abroad, the USS Eisenhower, an ordained minister and dedicated life coach that's really motivational coach, right, Ronnie?
Yes.
She has spent over 20 years uplifting her community and helping individuals discover their divine purpose.
Yes.
And for Coach Mark Young, a former All American basketball star, has a remarkable career that that includes playing professionally in the NBA and mentoring young athletes. Together, Robin and Mark have built a successful basketball post-grad academy, positively impacting the lives of over 50 young men by guiding them to college placement. Now, can everybody join me in welcoming these two generational turnaround couple today? And that's, I mean, they are the epitome of what it takes to turn around. I mean, yeah, okay, I'm not going to cry.
Don't
But
cry, Dr. Judy.
I'm not going to cry because when God said generational turnaround and gave me that mandate, I was like, okay, God, but what I do? And I should already know that He's going to send me the Robin and Mark and all the speakers that has said yes and didn't ask why, didn't ask me to define anything, just the words generational turnaround. They they knew what
Yes.
they had to do. And so we're on here tonight as the countdown on our way to September the 6th and the 7th, which is only 8 days away. So I wanted everybody to meet you all in person before they come to this summit. So they would know a little bit about who to choose in the breakout room. You see, we got everybody's topic, and that they go to the registration and they decide who they want to hear more from. And so I thought it would be fitting to let them uh, meet you in person before and let you tell them who you are and what generational turnaround means to you. And I will ask Robin to get us started.
Okay. One of the things that I think with you, Dr. Judy, with the generational turnaround, I thought it was so befitting because I know that you do have an organization, Activate Your Faith, which is within the generational turnaround. Am I right? And
Yeah.
so I agreed. My husband and I agreed to do your summit because of how supportive you were in my clubhouse room, and of course, with Pass the Baton. You came down to Jacksonville, Florida, and was an intricate part in us having a successful meeting back in 2000. We already in 24, right? To 2023. So, I knew that that you had some medical things happen, and I knew your speech was a little off from that. But look at you now, and I can just say that even by your healing and how God has begun to touch you and heal you, it has shown a generation that you can turn around, your life can turn around. You don't never have to be where you are if you're in a bad place, or if you have health conditions, or with the youth, if you seem to be, stuck, there's always a time, and there's always going to be a way for you to become unstuck. And so I'm so grateful to be a part of what you have going on, and I would not have it any other way. We love you so much, and we're so supportive of you because you were so supportive of us. And I think that's what it means to participate with your purpose, and that's what it means to help a generation, reaching back to people and helping them to achieve their goals and their purpose in life. So I'm just grateful, Dr. Judy.
And Coach Mark, now, as I was reading the great bio between you and Robin. You all work and helped generationals, even that's not here yet, because of you helping their fathers. It is all very important that the generations realize that the fathers, we're losing a lot of the fathers to prison on works, and you change the trajectory of what I said over 50. So can you tell us why a generational turnaround? You started way before I'm speaking to you today.
Well, when I well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be a part of your event. Of course, I was gonna say yes, but but I think one of the things that when I first brought it to my wife about opening up the school, she didn't know what it was, and so I had to explain it to her because I think it was a need. It was a need for kids that didn't get an opportunity to play in high school, otherwise was looked over and things like that. So I think it was a need for them to get another chance at trying to play college basketball. And not only that, you have situations where kids may have fell into a situation where financial crisis, injuries, so many different factors can kind of distract you from your goals. So when I opened up the program, I had a lot of those kids in mind. So I was fortunate enough to get a lot of good kids that believed in the vision and wanted to do some good things with their lives. And we placed about 50 kids in college, but we also helped kids go to the military. We also help kids do entrepreneurial things. So I'm very proud of what we did, with the post grad. And I think that it's so many post grads out there. So anybody who is doing it, it's a lot of work. But I think that it post grad really just describes generational turnaround, because what it does is give these kids another opportunity, a chance to do something that they didn't even think they'll be able to do, and now it has become almost like a thing for college coaches to actually go to post grads to really look at players, and I think it's a great situation. But I think now with you having this summit, I think it'll give me a chance also to educate people on post grad, educate people on just playing college basketball. Not only that, but just life skills, because I've also been through a lot of things in my life to where people wouldn't have thought that I'd be able to come back and do some of the things that I've been able to do.
Oh, yeah.
So we definitely gonna have a great time. I think it's gonna be a great event, and I'm looking forward to it.
Prophetess Robin. Okay, I've got to look because I know that is so important to reach the youth as a prophetess. So, can you tell us what does that mean to you as a prophetess?
Oh my goodness, it means everything because we have to teach them because right now our generation, I think we're in trouble. My husband and I, we're in trouble because a lot of them they don't have role models that they want to follow because a lot of us are not in place. So you're talking about turning around a generation. We have to get in place to be able to reach back to these children. But like my husband said, he has a lot of life experiences that can help, the youth. He's gone through a lot of things that they're facing right now. He has a story, and so you can You can be, you can be a prophet, you can be, a business owner, but even in being all those things, experiences outweigh them all, So like with Mark, he has such an experience in life that most of us probably would never have to face, you know. From having it all to losing it all, So he has a lot to talk about with that. So I would hope that everybody would join in to listen to his turnaround. But as far as being in the church world, we as the church, and I say that, with respect, because we have to show that we're different, that we do have something that they need, a core value, a place to go when you're in trouble. And so we're all going to face troubles and we're all going to have difficulties. But we need to know that we have a foundation and that we have a source. So, like with even when we were starting the school, we had to trust God that He would bring us through, because we were faced with kids from all different walks of life, different backgrounds, financial situations that, a lot of times we would have to, foot the bill per se to make sure that they were able to reach their goals. So with that being said, that's what turning around a generation can do. One child at a time, one young adult at a time, one adult at a time, because sometimes you can be an adult and still be stuck in a child's mind. And so we as leaders have to recognize every stage of someone's life and be ready to step in and help in any area necessary.
Mark, did you ever have to not face, but have anyone tell you, I'm going to get mine by whatever means necessary, because they had enough? They had tried everything, but so they were going to go and get theirs. Did you ever have to talk a young person from that path to the path that you are doing for them?
Well, I've had to even have that talk with myself. So, of course, I mean, I've ran across a lot of young men that have been in those situations, but me didn't experience a lot of that stuff. Like I said, I had to have those talks with myself sometimes. So, sometimes you have to really have those deep conversations with yourself. But with these kids, one of the problems that a lot of us, I would say old school, older people have, we don't know how to speak these kids' language. And
Mhm.
that's one of the main things when you're dealing with these new generations. You have to know the language. You have to know the lingo. You have to know how to reach them. And so whenever you're speaking with them, most people are going to understand if you're speaking a language. But if you coming to from a place of, like, a lot of these kids are very uneducated. They're very, maybe we can call some of them just ignorant. So you have to know how to put things together where they can understand what you're saying. Because if you don't do that, you can't reach a person if you don't know their language. So one of the things I always did was I try to, figure out what their language is, how to speak to them, and what they will receive. You got white kids that have issues. You have to know how to speak their language. They're black kids. You have to know how to speak. Everybody comes from all different walks of life. Thank God that I've been, around the world, so I kind of know a lot, and I know how to approach different people, and I'm educated when it comes to experiences like, when you're dealing with white folks, you're dealing with black kids, you're dealing with inner city kids, you're dealing with suburb kids. So it's so many different avenues. So, to answer your question, yeah, I've had to do that a lot of times, but it's not as easy as people think it is, because of, like I say, that language barrier. You have to know where that kid is coming from. But a lot of times I use my experiences and I let them know what I've been through, similar to what they're going through, and try to let them know. I mean, I understand what you're going through. So, that's pretty much how I've dealt with it. do it to this day.
What if, so testimony, I'm going to use that. Is that, I know that would be what you would call it, prophetess, but what's it called where you come from, uh, Mark? Do the young people give you a testimony of what they've gone through?
Well, it depends. We don't necessarily use that term because that's more of a Christian Bible
Yeah,
term.
yeah.
So they don't, but if, I do have kids that are into the Bible. So we
Hmm.
do talk testimony talk. I have a few kids like that too. But most of the time it's just, it's just real talk.
Real
We kind of using real talk. So when you're using a lot of real talk with kids, they kind of respect that. They kind of, and a lot of kids, believe it or not, they look forward to talking about things that they've been through, things that, because what it does, it helps them explain to
Yeah.
their friends, because
Hmm.
everybody is just basically a walking testimony, if because everybody has been through something that somebody else is going through. So it's all about how you deliver it to your friends, the people that you come in contact with.
But do you believe that one generation dropped the ball? Mhm.
You can say that. I know a lot of people, say that, hey man, we may have raised our children differently, but in defense of the new generation, I would say that we wanted things for them that we didn't have. So that kind of, when you give your kids everything, you give them the house, you give them, you just give them everything. They don't have to really work as hard. But the thing is, we went through all that, so they don't have to work that hard. We just didn't know that they was going to kind of turn out how they did.
Yes.
It's crazy
Mhm.
because it's almost just like, people, they went through all kind of stuff for us to vote. So
Mhm.
now that we have the opportunity to vote, you have people that don't vote, or they don't vote the way you want them to vote. So
Mhm.
you always gonna have some type of issue with the next generation. I just feel like you just have to educate yourself on it, because what happens is when we can say, okay, we can shelter our kids, keep them away from stuff. That can be a problem. You can let them see too much, and that can be a problem. So it's
Mhm.
really all about having the communication, trying to educate your kid to the best of your ability. Because everybody, my mom, everybody, found they did the best they could do with what they had. So at the end of the day, you still got to make up your mind what you want to do. You know.
Yeah,
True.
yeah,
That's
I
true.
know. Now, I'm 68, proudly say that. We really depended on the village elders,
Yeah.
and we respected the village elders. We would say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and mean it,
Hmm.
and know that we could go to that elder to get some wisdom. What is that? That's not so much right now.
Mm.
Well, it depends on where you're at. It depends on your environment. Sometimes, I don't think that we stopped teaching it. I just think that as resources, like I said, we was raised to do that. So once
Mhm.
we got to raising our children, it's a lot of things that we changed. Like for instance, I was raised getting whipped. So that still was my principle, but the more knowledge you receive, they had people doing studies that saying, hey, whipping hurts a child, or whipping does this, or whip, you know what I'm saying? So I think the more you get educated, and people just got educated on a lot of stuff to where it changes,
The
how you're
dynamics.
raising your kids and the dynamics of everything. Um, at the end of the day, it's still certain standards and morals and principles that you have to teach your kids. And again, it's all about, they got some good parents out there, but the kids, you got to understand, when kids are going to school and they going to all these different places, it's so many outside influences. The internet is maybe the biggest influence of them all. I mean, you have kids that's 4 or 5 years old playing on a computer, they're on the internet. So there's, people thinking, okay, maybe they're so much smarter now. They so knowing what's going on.
Advanced.
So they're advanced, and technologies has just changed so much, even how you raise your children. And so when that happened, you put yourself in a spot where you just have to kind of, just be real with your kid, because what happens, you know, when we was young, they would tell us about the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus. The internet has showed us that those people don't exist. So it takes away that facade. So
Innocence.
now,
Yeah.
if you don't tell your kid that they don't exist and they see it on the internet, mom and daddy, they liars.
Yeah.
So now you have to get to the point where you just being truthful with your kids, regardless of what. You have to be truthful with them, and that can hurt them sometimes, because a lot of people just don't like to hear the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. What you said made me think about, okay, the reason why there was a tooth fairy or a Santa Claus, or for the children to use their imagination. Right now, the imagination is not very much used. Technology has shown that you
Right,
have to
You
have
don't
an
need it.
imagination.
right.
So when you are here next Saturday and you have your breakout room, are you going to use some old and some new ways?
Well, I definitely use some old and some new. I have a bunch of I have so much stuff we can talk about for hours, but I'm definitely gonna have certain topics that we can touch on, because you want to get stuff that that's impactful, that people can take with them, that's real relevant as to what's going on now. So you and so many people out there trying to change how the new generation is. All you can do is really educate yourself on them and
Mm-hmm.
educate them on the consequences of their actions.
Oh yeah.
You
That's
know,
it.
and so so when you do that, you got the it's called what we call tough love, where you telling people
Mm-hmm.
the truth. A lot of times we don't do that. We kind of make it a facade. But I just think that if we stick to our guns and just stay positive with what we're trying to do, we'll be all right.
Well, people started saying you when you do that, you hurt little Johnny or Mary. You give them too much information, and psychiatrists say, no, do it a little bit at a time. But the world is not reacting a little bit at a time. It's eating the young people, taking them away from the norm. So, can you speak on that, Prophetess?
Age. Oh, I was talking to Mark. I'm like, listen, this world is going very, very rapid, and we got to start as young as 3 years old, teaching them life skills and consequences, because, we got kids in our family at 3 years old now work the computer better than me, take my phone and reprogram it and order stuff off the internet. So if we don't get to them before the world and the technology gets to them, we're not going to be able to handle them. And that's what's happening. We got to get to them first. So and I know you were saying about bringing some of the old and the new. I think, like, if I had little children, we're empty nesters now, but if I had little children now, I would, spend more time at the table if I can do it differently. Spend more
Yeah,
time eating and talking and
yes,
staying away from technology. I know it's hard, but
yeah,
you as a parent have to force that family dynamics and talk and interact with your children even at an early age, even when they're in the car seat. Turn off the radio and start talking. Of course, because of the internet, we can't tell them Santa Claus is not. It's kind of Santa Claus is real because of the internet. We can't say the tooth fairy. They're like, oh no, they're not putting up with that because we allow them. And because guess what? We can't help it because if we don't even allow them in technology, they won't be able to be in this world and be
yeah,
productive.
that's,
So just like Mark said, we just got to tell them the real deal. That's where we are right now. And I know we want to have them so that they can use their imagination. But right now, we're in a fast-paced world with
mhm.
information coming a mile a minute, and we got to get to them before the computer and AI gets to them.
And as I always say, the trickster,
The trickster,
he,
yeah.
the
AI is a
trickster
trickster,
is
yeah.
out there and
Artificial intelligence, yeah.
trying to steal, kill, and destroy
Yeah,
whole
absolutely.
families. You know,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
don't even hear so much about the whole family because COVID showed us, and COVID allowed us to be with our family again
Oh,
during
yeah.
that era. And we really realized how separated we
We
were.
really are. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the golden rules? Do unto others as you have them do unto you. That's the first thing we learn as kids.
Yeah.
And that took us all the way through life. And
Yeah.
right now, that golden rule isn't uh, practiced.
Right. Right.
And so we have a lot of uh, young people who's taking their own lives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. The pressure. But I
yeah,
wanted to talk to you about what my husband was saying earlier, to just tell them the truth. And I've seen him on many occasions talking to the young men, when they were getting what I would say in a pickle. He would sympathize with them, empathize with them, but at the same time, let them know your future. If you go this way, this is going to happen. If you go take this route, this is what's going to happen. And I think because we live in a generation where these kids have access to technology and so much knowledge, the better approach with wisdom is to give them the consequences. Now, if you go
hmm,
this way, Johnny, this could happen. Now, if you go that way, because I've gone that way, this is going to happen. So
hmm,
we can predict more because we've gone through something. They
hmm,
haven't gotten there yet. And so if we use that approach, because they're so smart and so because they have so much information, they really think that they know more than us because they have it at their fingertips. We
yeah,
had to actually experience it and touch the fire and live in poverty or eat the bologna cheese sandwich and the oodles of noodles. And our kids never have to do that unless they want to. They have a choice. And because we raise them with choices, when it comes to making life decisions, we can't just say automatically, no, don't do that. We still have to put in front of them life or death. And so I've seen
hmm,
my husband do that. And that's what made even our program so successful. And now the boys, they call us all the time and they talk to him. They love him. They ask him for advice because we still kept the concept that you have a choice. Because if you ever notice when you talk to someone that's foolish, if you make them feel like it's their idea, they still think that they're smart. But
yeah,
you're actually smart because you know the way they reason. So
hmm,
that's what we're faced with right now. It's not that we're tricking them, it's that we're still giving them individualism and we're still making them feel like they're in control. But they cannot say that my husband didn't warn them. And I'm talking more especially about Mark because he works more with the youth than I do. I
hmm,
work with adult youth. What I mean by that, I work with adults that still are set there. They haven't matured. And so even with that, that can be difficult. You know, because
Yeah.
when you're a coach, a lot of times you're dealing with people that have not developed mentally. They've gotten what I mean by that, they haven't matured. They got degrees, they got all the money in the world, but they don't have a sense of self and know who they are. And most of the time, when people don't know who they are, they make grave mistakes. And so because the youth they're so young, they're going to make mistakes because we know foolishness is in the heart of a child. But
Hmm.
because we have the internet, we've allowed them to have too many choices, and we just can't just stop that. We have to create an environment where they feel as though they have a voice in their own life.
Mm. Oh, that's good. That's really good, and that's really true. There's so
Mark laughing
young.
at me.
Why, Mark? Because you know
Oh
her.
yeah, cutting up tonight.
You cutting up tonight? He said, you cutting up, Dr.
What
Judy.
what knife is she not cutting up, Mark?
I'm serious.
But both of you,
Oh,
I mean, y'all together. I have had people that tells me that they're hoping that we are coming with tried and true solutions. They want they want the real. They want
Yeah, yeah.
us to say about what we have not necessarily accomplished, but witnessed.
That
And
part.
that part
That
right
part.
there.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
So, and you just said it, Mark, in the beginning of our conversation. You've witnessed some things that people won't really want to accept that it's real and it's happening to their children.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
these young people, and they want
The weed.
this. They just want some kind of understanding. They want to be able to talk to their family and get some of understanding so that they know how to be with their daughter or son. Can
Mhm.
you speak on that, Mark?
Well, one thing about that I notice about kids, like I said, like I work with them every day, and from college age on down. So when you dealing with a lot of these kids, um, just you have to understand that they have their own lives. So you can't, like for instance, when we was younger, they had the thing say no to drugs. And so, everybody, oh, say no to drugs. It was so cliche, but they never told you why. They never told
Oh
you.
yeah.
Then they
Yeah.
came out with the commercial, this is your brain on drugs, with the little egg and they cracking it and stuff like that. But they never really given you the actual details of what happens when you messing with drugs, the situations with your family, the trauma, the this, the that. Just like in jail, people tell you, oh, you're gonna go to jail if you do this. But you don't understand the ins and outs of jail until you actually in there.
Yeah.
And just there's certain things that go on in jail that people still don't talk about. Not talking about everybody, oh, he's gonna be gay or he did. That's not even, it's the psychological things that go on in jail,
Yeah.
just from being, locked up, just from having somebody telling you what to do. You're not used to that. It's so many different factors, just, you're around criminals all day. So, it's so many small things. Like when I'm talking to kids, I take them a step by step on how this thing goes. I'm not going to just say, hey, you do this, you're gonna get in trouble. Nah, I'm gonna give you examples, plenty of them, on how it can affect your life, how that it will affect your life, how that it is affecting my life. And when you do that, not only do the children respect you for it, they understand it because you're taking it a lot further.
Took them to it.
You know, you take them. You got to take them on a ride to let them know how this thing gonna go, because it's easy just to say, you know, you tell kids all the time, you can tell, hey man, if you do this, this is gonna happen. If you do this, and that's not good enough. You have to really explain to them, you know, the magnitude of what they're doing, how it affects them, how it affects their family, how it affects their friends. And so when you take them to that, then they can be a lot more cautious and understanding of why they should do something or why they shouldn't do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like school. People tell you, oh man, you need to get your diploma, you need to get your degree. And you're like, okay, for what? Okay, I mean, why should I know this? You know, there's so many people out there, because right now these kids looking at, it's people that's rich on the internet that they didn't go to school, they didn't do this, so they automatically thinking they can do that. But everybody don't have that talent. God didn't give that talent to everybody. He gave that to them. And I mean, and if that was your talent, I mean, we would know, but everybody don't have that talent. And sometimes you got to go do what you got to do as far as just the basics. And then you may try to venture off in there. If that don't work, you still got something to fall back on. But a lot of these kids don't even think past that first step. They just think, okay, I'm gonna just be an entrepreneur. They haven't talked to anybody that's an entrepreneur. Everybody they talk to is rich. If you look on the internet, everybody rich, everybody got a business, everybody is just thriving. Nobody's really posting the struggles that goes on
With an
behind the scenes
entrepreneur.
with being an entrepreneur. They don't do that. You know, even like going to college, everybody wants to go to college until they say, okay, you have to get up 5 o'clock in the morning, you have to practice, you have to go to class, you have to lift weights, you have to go to study hall, you have to do your homework, and you have to do all that while maintaining trying to have a girlfriend, have a family life, because a lot of these kids have that. So you have to be real with them. And so now you're dealing with kids who their whole day is taken up. So now you're trying to do that, and they want to stay up all night playing video games, and so what happens, they smoking weed. So what happens, they see these guys in the pros doing the exact same things. But the problem is they're in the pros already. You haven't gotten there. And what happens, a lot of kids, they mimic what they see and they think they can do that. But you know, you seeing a guy on TV that's smoking weed that play in the NBA, and he tell you how he was smoking all through high school and all of this stuff. So you think you can do it. But what you fail to realize is this guy was 6'8", a freak athlete. He was going to the NBA anyway. So are you that? So you got kids out here trying to do that and not the same way. So it's all about, you have to be honest with them, you have to be straight with them, but you have to explain it to them and let them know. So when they do make the decision and you talk with them, they say, oh yeah, just what you said happened, what's gonna happen and how it happened.
Well, a lot of kids that I talk to over in TikTok, and mostly the young women, was talking about anxiety, depression, right, and peer pressure. So, Prophetess,
Yeah.
how much, what experience do you have with that?
Oh my goodness. That is so prevalent. Suicide, depression, anxiety, all of those things. On the spiritual side, we know what that means. Um, but in layman's terms, you know, mental health, even in our community, I'm talking about the Black community, it's not enough help for the mental state of our community, because just like, you know, with our generation, I think our generation, Mark and I are 49, and with our generation, a lot of us are not sitting on the couch. And so when we're not sitting on the couch, we're giving our children bad information because we have not dealt with our own traumas. So we pass that down to them. So not only do they have our trauma, then they have to deal with what's going on in their own lives, especially the young girls. And they need stable women to pour into them. The anxiety levels are high. They don't know who they are because their mamas don't know who they are, and they don't believe in getting help. We are the least likely to have mental help in the Black community. And Mark and I talk about that all the time. We are suffering. We are really suffering. We have all the platforms now. We have more information now, and yet our children, especially our young girls, are so affected by what's going on in this world. From wanting to be like the girls on the internet, wanting to be the rappers, and seeing how those women are on TV and these soap operas and all of these reality shows. And so they become depressed, because then we don't have anybody that's telling them it's okay to be you. It's okay to be an individual. It's okay not to have weave down to your back. It's okay not to have a beat face. It's okay just to be you, and to be you, and no lashes. And I remember a time when we didn't have to have a whole made up face to go on prom. Natural was good. So I think our girls are facing so much more pressure than my generation. And they're forced to grow up quicker, and then they see so much on the internet that it depresses them, and they need help. And a lot of us, we were coaches and we're mental therapists. I think if we would donate at least 1 hour to the Black community, free of charge, just 1 hour to a young girl, I think we can change some things in our generation and be a lot more better. Because I'm telling you, every time I look on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and I see these young girls, and they're wanting attention in the wrong way. But just, this, Dr. Judy, the underlying thing is depression, anxiety, thoughts of suicide, thoughts of not being enough. And for my generation to tell them, you're enough, you're more than enough. They need to hear that from us. They need to hear that.
Yeah. And you just said it. They believe that they are not enough.
Not enough. Not enough.
Yeah. And therefore, who's telling them that who's grading them as to they're not enough?
The social media.
Yeah.
And we're not telling them enough in private in our homes that they are enough. And then our generation are saying they don't believe they're enough. So can you imagine a woman in her 40s and she don't even know who she is, and she got a teenage daughter that's 20, 25, and she doesn't even know who she is? And so she doesn't know how to relay that you're more than enough, because she deals with it. She's battling with who she is. Mm-hmm. So it's just like a domino effect. And then she has a daughter, she's 20 something years old. She has a little girl, and she instills that in her as well. And so there you go. We've messed up a whole generation. So it's imperative that, that we get mental help in the Black community. I'm talking about our community. I can only talk about our community, what I see on a daily basis, what I see in our families. So, and it's so imperative that the girls get it. It's so imperative.
I know that Adam was first, and then came Eve.
Yeah.
But the woman if she does not take control and get the family back together as a whole, then it's never going to happen.
That's funny you said that. Funny you said that. Now if we're talking biblically, a woman carried the word. The word was Jesus. So she carried something that had so much weight. So this is what I'm saying. We always say, well, the men need to get back in place. But right now, the women are out of place and the men are out of place. So where are we? When women, we carried such the spirit of nurturing, the spirit of care, and we don't have that. The generation coming behind, they don't have that. So we're in trouble. We have to get our girls back in place, and we have to have men that are working on getting the boys back in place to let them know that, having a family is good. Now the narrative is you don't need a family. You don't need a man. You don't need this. I don't subscribe to that subscription, that magazine. I don't. I really, really don't. I'm a business owner, entrepreneur. I have that mindset, but I don't subscribe to. We don't need men. We don't need a man. And the reason why I say that is because even though, like I said, the woman carried that greatness in her. She carried Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we need the men to lead us, and the strength, we need their strength. Of course, women, we're strong. And, we have movements to prove that. And we've done extraordinary things. But we need our men.
Well, and I'm gonna leave it on this. That's a little bit the problem that took away from the family order for, and so that's what I believe, that people are coming to generational turnaround to find order in the family once more. In the Black family, I'm talking unity in the Black family, and I am
exactly.
so.
And I'm glad you brought that up. And I know this is, I know we're not talking politics, but so many people, even right now, we're in the middle of a election, and so many different races and cultures, they get things specifically for their culture. The Chinese people, somebody got beat up, and they made it so that they put laws in place to protect the Chinese. They have laws in place to protect the whites. Trump has put in a law in place to protect his people. I don't have a problem with people wanting to protect their own. But when it comes to protecting Black people as a whole, then we have to be grouped with everybody else.
Yes.
It's not specifically for Black people. When is it going to be specifically for us? When are we going to have laws in place to protect us? We always have to be grouped in or get the leftovers from another race.
I think it's going to be when we as a race start acting like we are a race, and we start working together as a race. Because when I was young, we were a race that helped one another in whatever area God had blessed us with the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding.
And I understand that. Yeah, I understand that, Dr. Judy. But even in that time, and not to get away from what we're talking about, even that time, the Black people operated out of survival mode.
Yeah.
And so a lot of things we did it to survive. Now, we don't have to do that, because more Black people have money, we have resources, we have businesses, and we have everything that we need to operate outside of any other race. We can start our own.
Right.
And so we have, like my husband always said, the Black community has so many different issues. Where do we start? We start in the mind. That's why mental health is so important, that we need therapists that look like us, that understand what we're going through. Like Mark said, we need them to look like us. We really do.
I've got to stop you there because we're running out of time, and I do want us to be able to put this on. It has to be an hour. So please tell how everybody can get in touch with you, except,
Well, you can get in touch with me on Facebook, Mark Young, Coach Mark Young, and that's me on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. Robin Young on Facebook, Happy Millionaires on Instagram.
All right, everybody. They will. Mark and Prophetess Robin will be up front at the GT Summit. So y'all, September the 6th and the 7th, be in the place. It's virtual. All right. Love you too.
Love you.
Love you. Thank you.
Love you.
Y'all stay there while I take this off. All right, everybody. See you next time with a next speakers that's gonna be at the summit. Okay.